Alright, man. So, what's the word, everybody, man? It's your girl, A Holy Hustler. You feel me? Because my vision for myself is to be holy, is to have the mind that is in Christ in me. Like, that's my vision. I want to be holy, like, really saved, sanctified, delivered, made whole, made separate. You know what I'm saying? Like, really set apart for God. But I've always been a hustler all my life. Like, I've always known how to get up and run up a bag, run up a sack, like with no hesitation. You see what I'm saying? So my vision for my life and the vision that God has for my life is for me to be holy and run up a bag. So it's like it ain't nothing wrong with getting to this paper, but do it with God. You know what I'm saying? Do it from a place of purpose and don't exclude God from your prosperity because it is Him that gives it to you. Like what's a man that gain the world and lose his soul? Like I want to gain the wealth, but I also want to gain my inheritance in heaven. You know what I'm saying? My rightful spot in heaven. So that's the background of my name. But today I'm gonna get on here, man, and just talk about like my deliverance testimony, like and really break down like how far I've come, how far God has brought me, and why I rock with Him the way I do. You know what I'm saying? Why I love Him the way I do. I'm still, you know what I'm saying? I'm still like I ain't perfect. You feel me? I'm still like really trying to figure this whole thing out, but I honestly believe deep down in my heart, if I grow close to Him, He'll grow close to me, like He's saying His word. And if I continue to seek Him, I'll find Him. You know, so that's just my main focus is just seek God. Just keep seeking God every day, and somehow, some way, everything will work out and everything will fall into place. Keep reading His word and keep critiquing my life according to His word. Keep critiquing myself according to who He says I am in His word, and somehow, some way, through hard work, dedication, consistency, and me being serious about my walk with God, I will actually become a holy hustler. You know what I'm saying? So, but today I want to talk about my deliverance testimony, man, and just talk about like I said before, like how far God brought me and why I rock with Him the way I do. So, a while back, I ain't even gonna say too far back, like a few years back, man, I was struggling like with some demons that I had. Some demons was demons that I got. Well, no, I ain't gonna fake it. All of them was demons I got from other people. Like God saying His word, you become like who you hang around. So if you hanging around people that's doing certain things, eventually those demonic entities that's operating in them is gonna influence you to start doing them, so they could jump off and operate in you. You see what I'm saying? And that's kind of like what happened to me, man. A few years back, I was fighting demons like the spirit of addiction, depression, and suicide. And it's crazy because I'm gonna give y'all the backstory on how I was struggling like with suicide, because being like a suicidal person wasn't really like my thing. But that's why it's really important that you gotta be careful like who you out here dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Because like fornication got some consequences that come behind it. But without further ado, I'm gonna get straight into it, right? So God delivered me from the spirit of addiction back I want to say like a few years, like probably like 2 years ago, right? I was going through a lot mentally. Like I had just lost my dad, and then after that I had just found out like this dude that I was real cool with, he was like my homeboy. I had just found out that he was, I ain't gonna say just found out, but I had just came into like full acceptance that he was a snake, and he was jealous of me and envious of me, and his intentions for me wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? He was really like trying to backdoor me. And I cut him off, but it made me, I was still dealing with like that betrayal. Like it hurt me and it made me feel some type of way. And then prior to him, like I was dealing like with this little chick or whatever, and you already know how it be when you're in a relationship that you're not supposed to be in, period, point blank. She left me, basically like left me hanging, you know what I'm saying, kicking to the curb when she met somebody else. I already know how I go. I was all heartbroken and sad over her, but you know, eventually I had let her go too. Like I had made up in my mind, like, bro, I'm not finna chase after you. I'm not finna beg you to be with me. Like, you don't want to be with me. It is what it is. I'm gonna let you go. But every day from that point, I was still hurting. So I just remember like just being in so much pain. Like I was in so much pain. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't laughing. All I was doing was getting high every day because I felt like when I was sober, I felt like I was just being attacked by so many demonic entities. Like, I felt like I couldn't think straight. I felt like I honestly had to smoke a blunt in order for me just to be able to function. I'm talking about like as soon as I wake up, I'm like, bro, I need a blunt. I need a blunt. You know what I'm saying? Like in the court, need a blunt. And then at that time, I had also lost my job as well because my dad had died, so I wasn't going to work. Like I wasn't working. And one thing about me is like the type of work I am. Like I be working hours like I used to. I ain't doing that for no other company. I do it for myself. You feel me? I work them type of hours for myself because these companies don't respect me. But the type of work I was, it's like I would work like crazy hours. I'm talking about like 16 hours, 14 hours, 12 hour shifts, like back to back to back, because I told you I'm a hustler. My mindset was like, I gotta run it up, because I know what it feel like to be broke, and I didn't want to feel like that no more. But around this time, man, my dad died. I felt like it's like he took a part of me with him, man, and I just couldn't get back in the groove. I couldn't do the same old thing that was old. I couldn't do that no more. It didn't help me. It didn't satisfy me. It didn't fulfill me no more like it used to. So I found myself in like a whole lot of pain. I'm talking about like excruciating pain to the point where even where when I would get high every day, me getting high, like the weed wouldn't even take the pain away. It's like the weed would make it worse. It's like I smoke a blunt and the weed would make me more depressed. Like some days the weed kind of like, I'd be cool, I'd be chilling, but then other days like the weed, man, it's just that gas, that pressure just like really like brought me down to my lowest. And I'm like, dang, I'm fighting all these demons now. Mind you, I did tell you that prior to any of this, I was in a relationship with a little shorty, so I was dealing with her. So some of the demons she was dealing with, you know what I'm saying? Then I was involved with somebody else after her, so I also had their demons, you know what I'm saying? Because you gotta understand, like when you fornicate, like you got like different demonic entities that's really like attacking you, feel me? So I'm fighting these demons, but these demons all came from my association. That's why God says you will become like who you hang around. So watch who you hang around. Like, don't be deceived. Bad company can really corrupt a good soul. Like, if you really trying to be on that path for righteousness and towards God, you got to be serious to the point where, like, pretty much everybody around you got to be on that same path, or you will have to, like, slowly, like, kind of like isolate yourself a little bit from until you get strong enough to where you can be around certain people and not being full to break under pressure. You see what I'm saying? But man, I wasn't really rocking with God like that at the time, and I found myself like being around addicts and people who was depressed and suicide. So I just remember sitting in the car one day and I was smoking a blunt, and I was so depressed. I was so depressed. I wasn't even smiling. I wasn't laughing, cracking jokes. I was mean. Like, I was mean to everybody I came in contact with because I was hurting. And that's a real thing. Like, hurt people really do hurt people, because in my mind, I'm like, man, because I was even being mean to my bird, but I'm like, man, if I'm not finna be nice to everybody else, but be mean to her at home. I'm finna be like this with everybody. Like, I was hurting. I didn't care about how nobody else felt. It was like, man, forget you. It is what it is, right? And I was sitting in the car one day, smoking a blunt, man, and my soul was just hurting. And I remember like sitting down in the car, and I just started contemplating. Like, I just felt so hopeless. Like, I just had like this real strong, hopeless feeling come upon me that I never felt before. That's how I know it was a demon that did not come from me. Like, this was a demon that had came from somebody I was involved with, because they would tell me stories about how they was depressed too. So like, this certain level of depression, like, had really brought me to a point where I felt so hopeless, to the point where I just, like, was really, like, contemplating suicide. I'm like, man, I should just end it all. And that's not even, I'm not even that type of person to even be having them thoughts, but I was just at my lowest at that point. I'm like, bruh, I should just end it all. Like, what am I holding on for? But then in the midst of me saying that, it's crazy because I honestly believed at that point that that's what I should do. But even in that moment, even in my darkest times and in my darkest moment, God was still talking to me. God was still like ministering to my soul. You feel me? Like, I'm trying not to cry right now. Like, I don't think I ever really talked about this with nobody for real. But like, I just remember like him talking to me, like telling me like, you know, you gotta like, you gotta think about like your mama and your brother, you feel me? So I thought about them, and I made up in my mind I wasn't gonna do it. But like at the moment, I was like, forget it. You know what I'm saying? I really was like at my lowest. Like that demon was really like taking me through there. Like that demon was really like trying to take me out and kill me prematurely. You feel me? But man, God was like still there with me. Like even when everybody left, like partner back told me, shorty I was messing with left, didn't care about how I was doing, none of that. Like I still had God. Like God was still there talking to me, ministering to me, uplifting my soul. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, cool. You feel me? Like, okay, cool. So him telling me that, like, that'll help me get through that moment. But I had other moments like that. But him telling me that would help me get through that moment. So the type of person I am, man, I was raised like my mother. Like she really raised us like to pray. Like I grew up seeing my mama pray from sun up to sundown. All she did was pray, 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 pray. She prayed, she fasted, and she read the Bible. And she had us reading the Bible. And she had us praying, and she had us fasting. Like I remember days where like we couldn't even go outside, like unless we prayed and fast. You see what I'm saying? So like she taught us like how to place God as a priority in our life. Like we grew up under that teaching. Like she really raised us up in the way we should go. So in the midst of everything that I was going through, I just resorted back to what she taught me and how she raised me, and she taught me to pray. So I just remember like just praying to God, like really crying out to him. At the time, like I used to listen to like a lot of gangster get money type music because I told you I'm a hustler. So my mindset was, man, I'll be alright. I may be going through this now, but if I could run up a bag, I'd be cool. So normally what I do is if I'm going through something or if I'm hurt, what I do is I run up a bag. Like that's really why I used to work so much at the job, because I was really in pain, but I just didn't know how to just like express it or say like, hey, I'm hurting right now. You know what I'm saying? And then like that's the type of music I would listen to, like that type of gangster music that would encourage that behavior, but that's really not good behavior, because if you're going through something, you should really confide and vent in God. You really shouldn't look for an escape. You really should open up and tell God about how you feel. That's why he lets you know, like, hey, I'm a friend. Cast all your cares and all your anxieties and all your worries unto me because I care. And one thing about it is when we going through stuff, we feel like don't nobody care, don't nobody know what we going through, but God know what we going through, and he care, and he actually wants us to like confide in him. You see what I'm saying? So I just resorted back to that, and I just remember like just crying out to him every day. Like I'm talking about like every day, like from sun up to sundown. Like I'm crying out to him, I'm talking to him, I'm asking him like, you know, deliver me from this addiction, deliver me from this, save me, because at the time he was still speaking to me. So I had started like listening to gospel music, and when I love music, like I really love music, and one thing God would do is he would speak to me through the music I would listen to. So I would listen to like Marvin Sapp and different people. I really listen to Marvin Sapp like really, really a lot. Like he got like some songs that God really like ministered to me through. And as I'm listening to him, God would encourage me. God like would remind me like, hey, it ain't over for you. You know, this not the end for you. Like I really got a plan for your life. I really have a plan for you. I have a purpose for you. I know what I want you to do. I put you here for a reason. And I'm like, I'm listening to what he's telling me, but I'm like, what? Like, what you mean you got a plan for me? What you mean you got a purpose for me? What you mean it's not over for me? Like, because based on what I'm seeing, it looks like it's over. And another thing is, I was having like real bad nightmares. I'm talking about like nightmares that would literally wake me up out of my sleep. And then like them nightmares, like the devil attacking me in my sleep. Hey man, I ain't the type to be crying on. I ain't the type to be crying for real, but especially not on camera. You see what I'm saying? So this an exclusive moment. You feel me? Soak it in. This an exclusive, real intimate moment for me right there. Gotta bear with me. But nah, man. Like I'm trying to remember what was I just saying. Oh yeah. So based on like my reality and based off what I was seeing, God would encourage me and tell me, like, you know, it ain't over for you. I got a plan for your life. I got something I want you to do. I'm here with you. I see you. I know what you're going through. And at the time, I'm like, what? Like, oh yeah, I was having them real bad nightmares. Used to wake me up out my sleep, man. But even in the midst of that, God would still talk to me and encourage me and uplift me and let me know, like, I got a plan for your life. So around this time while I'm under demonic attack and I'm crying out to God for deliverance, he was still talking to me. Like, he was still ministering to me. So even though I felt alone, God would constantly remind me that I wasn't alone. Like, I would go on Instagram and I would see posts saying, it's your time, this your season, this your year. Like, the Lord is elevating you. The Lord has blessings for you. The Lord wants to help you. Like, the Lord is with you. He loves you. He cares for you. He has a plan for you in the future. Because I wasn't reading my Bible, so I spent a lot of my time on social media, so God would minister to me through social media posts. You feel me? Like, I just find one post, click on it, follow it, and then next thing you know, all I got is a whole bunch of posts about God on my discovery page. So I just start following all of them, reading them. And me reading posts like that every day, like, gave me hope. Like, it started making me believe, like, okay, well, maybe God do got a plan for me. Maybe this really is God speaking to me and uplifting me and encouraging me, right? So back to it though. Back to the story though. I remember crying out to God, talking to him like, you know, Jesus, like, just deliver me. Like, I wasn't asking God. My prayer to God at that time wasn't about money. It wasn't about a car, a house. Like, it wasn't about anything material, because I had came to an understanding that material things can't help me. Material things can't heal the pain that I'm feeling inside, right? And I was just tired of being depressed every day, man. So I just, one day, man, this right here was the game changer for me. Like, this changed everything. One day, I sat in my room. I was high as a kite because I had just hit the weed man up, smoked a blunt, like, rolling up, smoked a blunt, you feel me? One day, man, I got so sick and tired of being depressed and addict and just going through everything that I was going through. I said, man, you know what? I heard everybody telling me about how good God is, what he can do, who he is, how he can do this, how he can do that. I want to see for myself. Like, okay, I heard what they saying, and I've experienced God, but man, I want to know him for myself. I want to know who he is for myself. This changed my life. I picked up the Bible and I started reading it. I couldn't understand nothing that was being said in the Bible. Like, I couldn't understand nothing at all, but I just kept reading it. Like, so the first day I was reading it, and around this time I was unemployed, but my unemployment had just kicked in, the whole $2,400 check, because prior to that I was stressing about that. I'm like, dang, I need to get a job. And my mama kept telling me, like, you know, just take a break from working, file your unemployment, just take a break, because I was working so much. But at the time, like, my dad had died, and I told you, like, working was the way I used to cope with my pain. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm in pain, I need to work. But what I had failed to realize in that moment is that I didn't even have the mental capacity to work, because I'm grieving, depressed, addicted, and suicidal. So I really wasn't in a mind state to even be around people and function in a way that would be productive for a company. You see what I'm saying? But that day I decided to pick up that Bible. I started reading it. I couldn't understand nothing it was saying, but I just refused to, like, give up. I was like, nah, I'm not finna give up. Like, I need to know who you is for myself. Like, I need to know you. And, man, the next day, I picked up the Bible. I opened it up. I was reading it, still couldn't understand nothing. I went outside, went in the car. I had bought some gas. I had rolled it up. I started smoking it. I was listening to, like, this little sermon, but I was still, like, seeking God. I'm high as a kite with a blunt in my hand, but I'm still seeking God, because in my mind, I just need to know him for myself. And, like, in this moment, this when I realized how powerful God is. Like, God really is God. Like, as I had the blunt in my hand and I'm smoking this blunt, you feel me? Like, out of nowhere, I just feel a release. Like, I just felt something leave my body. Like, I literally felt a demonic entity come out of me. Like, it just came out of me. Like, I'm sitting in the car listening to a sermon about God. And it's crazy because right before that, I had saw this post on YouTube about this girl. She was like a prophetic minister, but at the time I really wasn't into that because I'm like, man, you know, false prophets, people be out here falsely prophesying. So I'm like, man, I ain't really into that. I ain't really feeling none of that. But I was listening, I was watching her, and she just kept saying, God is so proud of you. God wants you to know that he see what you doing. He see the efforts that you putting forth, and he proud of you. He see you when he happy, and he just wants you to keep going. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of looked over it, and I had clicked on another sermon by like a little preacher or whatever. He was preaching, and I'm listening to him, but I'm not really into him. I'm still, you know, puff, 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 you know what I'm saying, smoking on my little blunt or whatever. But out of nowhere, I just feel like this demonic entity just leave me. Like, just out of nowhere, it just left. And I'm like, I had the blunt. I stopped smoking a blunt. I threw the blunt out. And it's like when this demon left me, it's like I had my mind back. It's like I could think. Now I understand like what a demonic stronghold is. That's when a demon has your mind so twisted you can't even think straight. You think what they want you to think. You hear what they want you to hear. You see what they want you to see. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's so hard for you to see a way out your situation because you got another entity living inside of you telling you what your situation is when they sent from the enemy, so they lying to you. You see what I'm saying? They falsifying the evidence that's in front of you. Man, all I remember is like when God did that, it just came to my spirit like, I'm free. I just remember like just being so happy. I'm like, I'm free. Like, I'm like, oh, I just started praising God. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Like, thank you, God, because you got to understand, like, I was crying out to God for so long. I'm basically, like, begging him, like, God, deliver me from this. Like, please, like. So when he did that, I just started throwing all my weed away. Like, I don't know how I knew, but I just knew he delivered me from the spirit of addiction. Like, I was finna hit the blunt after that, and I was like, I don't even want to hit the blunt. I don't even need this no more. I just started throwing it out. I threw, like, fresh weed I just bought, I just threw it out the window. And it's like, I didn't realize how much I smoked, man, because as I went home and I was cleaning up, I just started finding weed everywhere, like blunts in my car, blunts up under my bed. I'm like, how did a blunt get up under my bed? But of course, you know, like, one thing about it is when God deliver you, the devil is going to bring up that same demon. Like, he gonna keep planting that same demon in different spots or keep reminding you of it because he wants you to go back to that bondage. But I was so happy that I was free, that I had made up in my mind. I'm like, I ain't going back. Like, I just remember like being happy and smiling. Like, I just remember like constantly hugging my mama because at the time I used to be like real mean to her because I was like just hurting so bad. I was just hurting everybody that came in contact with me. But I just remember like hugging her and smiling, and she was hugging me back and smiling. But I just remember feeling so free. I'm like, man, I'm free. I could think. I just started telling myself, like, man, the devil is a liar. Like, he been lying to me all this time. Like, he's a liar. He's a liar. He's a liar. He been lying to me. I was believing a lie this whole time. Like, I've been believing a lie this whole time. Like, the devil fraudulent for that. Like, he dead wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? And that day, man, I just threw away all the weed, and I just remember just thanking God. And I had sat down. I had a TV in my room at the time. I ended up selling that TV. But I just remember sitting down in my room, and I had cut it on TV, and it was like this little preacher. I don't even know her name. I just remember clicking on her, and she just kept saying, like, go to church on Sunday. Go to church on Sunday. Like, this was Friday, and she just kept saying, go to church on Sunday. Go to church on Sunday. So instantly I knew God was talking to me. So I'm like, all right, God, I'll go to church on Sunday. You feel me? So it's Friday. You feel me? Saturday come. I think I watched another sermon by her. I can't remember, but I just remember, like, in my spirit, I just could constantly hear her say, go to church on Sunday, go to church on Sunday. Like, God just kept reminding me, like, go to church on Sunday, go to church on Sunday. And at the time, man, I wasn't even really trying to be in church. I'm like, but I really don't want to be around church. I ain't even trying to be around them for real, for real. You see what I'm saying? But I'm like, all right, cool. So I had got up, and I ended up going to church, man, on Sunday. Like, I ain't gonna fake it. Like, that night prior, I had like a nightmare that woke me up out of my sleep. And I'm like, dang, like, it straight scared me. But God, even then, I think it was like, I can't remember how God calmed me down, but I just remember God he calmed me down. He really calmed my spirit, because that dream I had, like, really, really scared me. Really, really scared me. And he just calmed me down. But I remember looking at the clock and the time, like, okay, it's Sunday. It's time for me to start getting ready so I can go to church. And my mama had sent me a text and was like, hey, can you go to the grocery store for me? And I'm like, I'm finna go to church. And she like, good. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, cool. So I get myself together, get my clothes and everything. I go to church. And it's this crazy. So this is the crazy part, right? I'm in church. Right, so we standing up and we having like praise and worship. I'm not really into it. My mind like just drifted off somewhere else. But all I remember is her name Mariah. Shout out to Mariah. You feel me? Mad fact. Shout out to Mariah. She probably don't even remember this day, but she like a praise leader, a singer. You feel me? All I remember is her straight pointing me out, like out of nowhere. Like she worshiping God and she praising, and out of nowhere she just stopped and she say, "Hey Jasmine, come up here to the front." And I look, and everybody looking behind them. I look, I'm like, man, she tweaking. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, now, why would she call me up here to the front like this? Like, I'm talking about, I'm all the way in the back. Like, I'm where you can't see me. I'm trying to be ducked off in the church. You know how you is? You come to church, you ain't been to church in a long time. You be trying to be ducked off. You really ain't, I really wasn't trying to be engaged with nobody. And she just point me out of nowhere. She like, hey, Jazz, come to the front. So I'm like, man, she tripping. Why would you come? So then for a minute, I straight didn't want to go, but like the ushers, they had came and they straight ushered me to the front. So I'm up there, I'm like, man, she tripping. Like, you straight gonna call me to the front? Like, man, what she on? You see what I'm saying? But then out of nowhere, they all just start praying for me. And she just started saying, she just started prophesying to me. And she was like, God said you got to do this for your kids, and for generations after generations. And just started prophesying to me everything that God was already saying. She just started like basically prophesying it to me. So it was really like confirmation. And she was praying for me. And they all just started praying for me. And like, I just started crying, like just started breaking down. And then out of nowhere, like my God brother Matt, like, bro got some power for real. Like, just came out the cut, put his hands on me. He was like, I command the spirit of depression to come out. And at the time, I didn't even know I was depressed. Like, I just knew I was feeling down every day, but I didn't know I was depressed. I think I kind of knew. I just think I was in denial. Because the person I was hanging around, he was depressed, you feel me? And he would let me know, like, hey, you know, we depressed. That's why we hang out with each other. But I just remember, like, my God, bro, like, man, put his hands on me, on my head. And he was like, I command the spirit of depression to flee. Like, come out. And then out of nowhere, like, I just felt that demon leave my body, and I felt the release. And I just started praising God. I'm like, oh, snaps. Like, the devil is a liar. Like, I've been living in a lie. Like, this whole time, I'm really thinking it's over for me. I'm really thinking it's done for me. I'm really thinking, like, I ain't got no hope in life. Like, I'm completely over with, done. At the time, I wasn't nothing but, like, man, I wasn't nothing but, like, 21, man. Nah. Man, I wasn't number like 22 at the time. I'm 24 now. But at the time, the devil had me so wrapped up in my head. He really had me thinking it's over. Like, he really had me thinking it's over, man. And I'm like, dang. So I come to my realization. Like, I come to my senses. I'm in my right state of mind now. So I'm like, man, the devil a liar. Like, oh, he been lying to me this whole time. But I promise you, man, it all started, like, with me crying out to God and opening up the Bible and just reading the Bible. Like, God really helped me. From that point on, from me making up my mind, like, I want to seek him. Another thing I forgot to say is, prior to me even spending time with God, I remember asking God, and I said, man, God, how you want me to spend my day? And when he said that, I just found myself reading the Bible the whole day. And at first I stopped. I'm like, man, hold on, God, you tweaking. I gotta get up out here, get some money or something. I'm supposed to be hustling. And then he reminded me, like, that $2,400 unemployment check had just hit. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I was sitting down, and I just started, like, reading the Bible, like, just finished reading. I just remember reading it all day. Like, just sitting down, just really spending time with God all day. Like, I guess that's really what he wanted me to do. But that day I went to church Sunday, and I got delivered. Like, he made sure. That's why he was pressing me, like, go to church Sunday. So then after that, after he delivered me, then it was like he was on some, okay, now let's get to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you a hustler, you want to get to work, you want to run it up, you want to do this, do that. You going to do all of that, but you going to do it for my kingdom. So Now that you free, now that you out of this bondage, now that you can finally think straight, I need for you to come closer to me and grow closer to me. I need for you to get to work, right? So I'm like, all right, cool, you feel me? Like, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. Like, God really just delivered me. So I'm in love at this point. I'm heads over heels for him. I'm like, God, you see what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell me nothing wrong about him. Like, he ain't okay in my book. So I just started spending time with him, like, every day. I started going to church, man. I just started spending time with him, like, I was going to church, but I wasn't going to church because I wanted to go to church. I was going to church because he was telling me to, and as I was going to church, I was growing, and he was feeding my spirit, and he was really helping me and changing me, right? So I just remember, like, reading the Bible. I was spending, like, a lot of time with God. Like, my limit was, like, it was, like, 2 hours minimum, you feel me? Like, at least 2 hours minimum in prayer, 2 hours minimum in reading the Bible. That ain't nothing now, for real, because I can straight open up the Bible and be 2 hours in, but I'm deep, and I'm like, my alarm will go off, and I'm like, man, forget that alarm. I gotta keep studying until I get this revelation, because it's like he got something for me. He trying to tell me something, so I need to keep studying so I can really grasp what he trying to tell me and what he's showing me. So until I receive this revelation, I'm like, I can't really put this book down. I didn't been that deep in it to where, like, 2 hours go by quick when you deep in the word, but at that point in time, it was like a minimum of 2 hours of me just reading the Bible and 2 hours in prayer. And I just remember spending so much time with God. Like, I would spend so much time with God consistently, like, every day. Like, I made up in my mind, I'm like, bro, I'm not going to put forth my hands to do nothing until I spend time with God. And as I was spending time with God, he was guiding me and leading me into what he wanted me to do. Like, he was telling me, like, okay, write the vision. And he was showing me, like, okay, start you a business. This what your business gonna be about. This what you gonna do in your business. This what you gonna minister to. These who the people you gonna minister to. This is what you gonna talk about. You know what I'm saying? He even led me to the resources. He would lead me to people that had courses and the books and the materials that I needed in order for me to gain the necessary skill, in order for me to develop the skill so that I can go out and really do his will. And I just remember, like, talking to God and growing so close to God to the point where, no cap, I asked God a question and he'd answer it, and now I heard him clear as day. Like, straight clear as day. I'd be like, God, I want to do this. Should I do this? And he'd be like, no. And it's crazy because I remember it like yesterday, like, the voice of God, like, being that close to God to the point where I ask him a question and I can hear his voice clear as day. Like, it's like everything in that moment just stopped. That's like if you talking to somebody, that's like if somebody call your name. Let's say you talking to somebody, but then somebody behind you call your name. For example, they probably say, hey, Jazz. I look. I could be talking to somebody, but if I heard somebody call my name, hey, Jazz, that's how it was. Like, God commanded when God spoke to me and I heard his voice that clear, he just had my full undivided attention. Everything in that moment stopped. I'm like, dang, that's the voice of God. Like, I straight got that close to God, not realizing that I was even getting close to God. I didn't even really see my change at the time. Everybody around me was like, you changing, but I ain't see it. I ain't see me changing. I just saw me being hungry for God and me wanting more, but I couldn't see the progress. I couldn't see what they saw. Now that I'm on the other side, I can see what they saw. Man, and I'm grinding to get back to that point, but it's hard. It's hard trying to bounce back from a fall like that, but I believe he gonna bring me back. But yeah, I just remember being that close to God, spending time with him. Like, he gave me hope. So when he say, like, in his word, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future. That's real deal Holyfield. Like, he really does have a plan for you, and you spending time with him is how he will begin to reveal that plan with you. But you need to prioritize him. You got to spend time with him. If you fighting demonic entities, you got to cry out to him, and he will deliver you from them. And I experienced that firsthand. So, man, that's just one of the reasons why I rock with him. It get deeper than that, for real. Like, it get deeper than that. And I'm sure I'm gonna share a lot of my other testimonies and a lot of my other videos, man, because I got some stories to tell you, even about how I knew people with some snakes and trying to set me up, you feel me, or trying to do me dirty or trying to do me in. Like, that was God showing me that. And just to know that, dang, when he say I will protect you, he really mean that. Like, he really will protect you by warning you through your dreams to show you, like, hey, this person not for you. So, man, that's all I gotta say, man. That's my deliverance testimony. Them the demons I was fighting. I done got delivered plenty of times, but I'm gonna do another video about all those other times. But this time was like the life-changing time. Like, this like really molded and shaped my life. And I'm gonna go in more detail about that in another video. But that's my deliverance testimony, man. Of course, like I said, man, I failed from that point. So that was like in 2021. I want to say in 2022, I had stopped praying. I stopped reading my Bible. And in the midst of me not praying and reading my Bible, it's like the devil just like grabbed me and was like, yeah, come on back. But one thing the devil do is like, he got like a little fishing hook, right? So he'd throw out the bait, and if you fall for it, then he'd just begin to reel you in. Bit by bit, because he understand how people work and he understand how humans work, you feel me? So he'll begin to reel you in bit by bit. That's why it's important where if you start off on fire for God, you want to keep that same fire. Like, you want that fire, if anything, to just increase. You want to keep reading your Bible and keep studying your word, because if you stop, boy, I'm telling you, like, it took me a minute to bounce back from that. Like, the devil really is trying to kill, steal, and destroy. So don't stop seeking God. Don't stop reading your Bible. Don't stop praying to him, talking to him, confiding in him. And just make sure that you obey him. Because if you don't obey God, you're going to begin to get discouraged, because you're not going to see, like, the growth in your life. And that's kind of like why I failed, because I wasn't obeying him, because I was afraid. Like, God was on the road. Like, God had big dreams, big goals, big visions for me. And he still do. So I'm like, how do you expect for somebody like me to accomplish what you calling me to accomplish? Like, God, what is wrong with you? Why are you showing me these big old dreams, big old visions? Like, how do you expect for me to accomplish that? And I just got so caught up in what I felt like I couldn't do, and I failed to realize what he can do through me. You know what I'm saying? And I just got caught up in fear, and that's why I failed. But now that I'm back, I got a different kind of understanding. My grind different. My prayers are different. The time I spend with God hit different. All based off of me falling and getting back up. So if you do fall, or if you have fall, this is a sign from God to tell you, hey, get back up. You could really bounce back from a fall. But that's all I gotta say, man. That's my deliverance testimony. I know I was a little bit everywhere. I don't plan on editing this video, so just bear with me, man. Just really bear with me. But most importantly, man, if I could tell you one thing, I'd tell you, man, seek God for yourself. Like, for real. People would tell you anything and everything when it come to God, but like I say, you don't really know, like, how a person built. You don't really know who somebody is unless you really take the time out to get to know them for yourself. Like, you really can't go based off of somebody else's relationship with God. You gotta really open up the Bible. You feel me? Let me show you what you gotta do, man. If you want to get delivered from some demons, let me show you what you gotta do. Cause like I told you, I was sitting in the car when he delivered me the first time. Even though that wasn't the very first time, but there was like a very recent time when he delivered me that time. And I was sitting in my car with a blunt in my hand. I was not going to church at the time, but I did do this. I did start reading this. I did open this up and start just reading it, spending time with him. So you want to get delivered from demons, man, you gotta, number one, you gotta start seeking God for yourself. Open up the Bible. You gotta start reading it for yourself, right? And then number two, you gotta cry out to God. Like, really cry out to him. Let him know what's on your heart, what's on your mind. You gotta just keep it all the way real. You gotta talk to God like how you would talk to anybody else, except the only difference is you can honestly confide in him. You can really trust him. He not gonna tell all your business so you could be out here looking crazy. Like, God not no snake. He not gonna snake you out. He not gonna do you dirty. He not gonna do you in. his whole main goal and main objectives is to help you and develop a strong, growing relationship with you. So you got to be real with him and you got to be honest with him if you want him to help you. You see what I'm saying? And then, like, yeah, ask him to deliver you. He say, seek, ask and you shall receive, seeking you shall find. I asked God to deliver me, set me free, and help me, and he did. Like, I prayed that God bring me back to him and help me live out his word and live for him and be who he called me to be. And he's answering my prayers in front of me. You know what I'm saying? I prayed about my success in the Lord. I prayed about me being all that he called me and designed me to be. I remember even in that depression, I just remember just praying. Like, I just remember praying to God, saying, God, like, I pray that I be all that you designed me to be. I pray that I grow into all that you designed me to grow into. So that's another thing I say is, man, you gotta have, like, you gotta really, like, what I'm trying to say, you gotta pray. Like, you gotta pray. Like, faith without works is dead, but without prayer don't nothing change. Like, prayer really changes things, and I've been seeing it with my own eyes from day one. You see what I'm saying? So I would encourage you to pray. If you want to get delivered from any demonic entities that you fight, man, pray to Jesus Christ and read this Bible. Like, bro, just open it up and just start reading it. Or if you got, like, the Bible on your phone, like the little Bible app, you can open up the Bible app and just start reading it. And you having that building your relationship with God, he'll begin to answer your prayers and do for you and look out for you and deliver you for real. If he did it for me, I know he could do it for you. And like I said, I went in church the first time. I had a blunt in my hand, bro, and he straight delivered me. So take the limits off of God, for real, most definitely. Rock with him, check him out. Like I said, get to know him for yourself. And man, that's all I gotta say, man. Just rock out with him for yourself. Get to know him for yourself, man. But like I said in the beginning, you know my name Jazz, but I'm also a rapper, so my name A Holy Hustla. You feel me? I'm a holy hustler. That's who I am. You feel me? I gotta speak those things as though they were. You feel me? I gotta speak it into existence. So that's who I am, a holy hustler, man. And I'm also a life coach. You feel me? So if like I told you, like, if you want to learn how to build a strong, growing relationship with God, I have the experience in that area to where I could really help you through that. Like, I can help guide you. I can help you set some goals. I can tell you what to do and what not to do. I can teach you and show you how to, like, really get onto this path of righteousness, man. So if that's something you interested in, click the link in my bio. Matter of fact, no, for real. Click the link in my bio. Click on my shop, right? When you go to my shop, click on, like, the little goal setting coaching. Like, okay, so click on my shop, you know what I'm saying? Check out my products, you know. Show the girl some love. You're gonna see all my products, and then, like, click on the goal setting product. You're gonna click on that, schedule a call with me, man. I got you. I'm gonna help you out, man. I'm gonna show you how to do this from step by step. But if you really ain't even trying to hop on no call, just listen, bro. This is really all you gotta do. Bible, check this out, man. And pray. It's simple, like, it's not rocket science. Seek God, seek a relationship with God like you would with anybody else. So that's all I gotta say, man. Like I told you, I'm a life coach. If this video helped you, go ahead, give me a thumbs up. And hey, make sure you follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. Like I said, man, click the little Linktree app. Got all my YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that. Check me out, rock with me, show love. You feel me? Other than that, I'll catch y'all another time.